Hey everyone. I hope you're not too tired. So don't worry because my slides are super shitty. I really want to thank Katya, Maria, and other organizers from INSCIENCE. I don't remember the names. I'm sorry. I'm still a bit sleepy from my travels, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to visit your beautiful country. I'm Pratік. I've been a serial founder for past 15, 16 years. And today I'm an investor at Y Combinator, most prominently, but also doing venture building here in Europe. I like the last few medtech and space companies, so I could lead your first rounds so please try to find me after this. As I said, this is my first time to Ukraine. I try to support you guys online, but for me, this is the full and real Ukraine, and it's so beautiful to see just a small part Kiev this week. And so one thing is that please don't clap for things what you're doing. So it's not helping me, but I come from the beautiful country of Finland. Originally, I'm from India, but I've been living in Europe for 20 years, and today Finland is my home. And we are one of the countries which is trying to support Ukraine. And we have a lot of these shitty countries which are going wrong color, as you can see. And I have been working with drones. What a coincidence, what we need today. 15 years ago in Japan, after the Fukushima disaster, I was helping with search and rescue and flying the drones through typhoon. The blue dot is me with the drone. It's a very old picture when I was young. But then at that time, it was for search and rescue for disaster. And then in the peacetime, for preserving cities or large areas which are just getting destroyed by the nature. This is a very old town, Albarracin in Spain, where nobody lives, but it's extremely beautiful. And today it's preserved in 3D. But this is very old technology, again, from my teenage years. I got a little bit of fame in my startup journey. I sold an AI company, which was doing today what you can do with ChatGPT. I sold it 1 month before OpenAI released their model. And I was basically summarizing PDFs, 2 of us, and we sold this to a company in States. And today I'm involved a lot in robotics, so building and investing and doing venture building and getting EU funding for robot companies. And I also host a ton of robotic hackathons fully funded by me in Europe. But basically, I'm a scientist and an engineer. I have published a lot of papers, and not a lot, but close to 15, but roughly 50 patents, a third of them are granted globally. And that has helped me to build companies in drones, robotics, AI, biotech, and I've exited almost all of them. I'm selling my last biotech firm before the end of this year. And that allowed me to become serve as board at European Commission, at some national boards like the Czech Research Agency. I sit on the board there, and in Finland and a few other countries. But what I've been extremely proud of is, apart from raising funding from investors for my companies, I think I've raised close to 20 million from equity-free grants. And this is something which I recommend. That's the best thing about Europe. You don't need a lot of money to make a world-class company, especially in sectors which are hard traditionally to build hardware. I would really recommend to try again and again for these European Commission grants. They are difficult in the beginning, but with some experience, you can really get your time's worth of money back. But today I'm going to talk about, I see a lot of students are here. So, and I've been a student also myself, like everybody. So how you can go from very early stage research life to a mediocre success in about 10 years. And it's not hard. If I can do it, everybody can do it. This is something I like to believe. But in general, when you're building a new thing, it's extremely difficult. It's even more difficult if you do it alone. Always try to find your first believers. Your first believers could be your best friend, your teacher, and ultimately your first investors. This is really important. The rest part of this presentation, it will not be static. I would also ask you some questions, and if you don't answer, I don't continue with my presentation. So this is how I typically do. And I've been extremely lucky to have lived in 36 plus countries. And what I really see, like the conference what we have here in Europe, this is Slush. So it happens every year, end of November. I would highly recommend you folks to come there. And the best thing is that we always invite some celebrity. So this is Karya, the rap artist who won Eurovision, I think last year. And I will be here again this year, so please try to attend it. And it's very different from, it's very different from conferences in Japan. This is me at the Japanese Slush, and I look like everybody else. So it's difficult to find where I am. But today, because I have been this kind of serial founder, I invest in research-based companies. The first two are TriloBio is an MIT spinoff. I put the first seed ticket. And DeepWalk is an AI company from Utah, and they do iPhone-based infrastructure management. And then latest, I have invested in Y Combinator, roughly 22 companies in my portfolio, valued between 12 million to 180 billion. Anthropic is also one of my first investments. But today, let's talk about how to go from having an idea to making a business. So who here thinks idea is the most important thing in making a business? So the others who have not raised their hands, take a look at the people who have raised their hands, because they are wrong. So idea is not the most important thing. The idea has to be extremely innovative. Am I wrong? I could be wrong. In most of the things I say, I could be wrong, but so far it has worked out in my favor. So, but just take it with a bit of salt. Now, who thinks innovation is the most important part of building a successful business? Come on, don't be shy. I won't tell anyone. Yes, at least we have one person. So now she's wrong. You can, sorry? Yes, if you make your innovation into a product which people buy, if people are innovative. If you take any professor, they have innovative ideas, but they don't have a product. That's not a business. So you really have to make a product which people can buy. And I think that will make a very good business, right? No? What is still missing? Yeah, it looks like some people are nodding yes, some are no. You can have a really great or good product, you think, and your friends. True. If nobody buys that product, you have made a product. Okay, I'm telling very simple things, but the idea is that as researchers, more often we think that my idea is the best in the world, and I have double PhDs, and everybody will buy it. First of all, as an investor, when I see a board, the leadership of a company filled with PhDs, professors, I'm always wondering who is going to, one, make the product, and second, sell this shit. Because these people are not leaving their desks. They're not leaving their labs. That's a very big difference when you go from research to business. So try to keep the research in the back of your head, but business starts to take the front row very soon. I have a very practical example from my own life. My first PhD, I was using animals for drug discovery. And as an engineer, I thought I have killed maybe 200 mice, not a lot in my life amongst other animals, but it was very important for research. And as an engineer, I thought that we are doing these bunch of experiments, and it would be nice to do it on humans, but we are not North Korea, so how do we do that? How can we build, for example, if you're testing a drug which goes through your blood vessel, a small amount of, or small piece of blood vessel using engineering tools? And I built this kind of platform which made that idea, kind of research idea, into a product which is now commercially available, I think also in Ukraine. You can just, we have distributors in 21 countries. So it's a very big oversimplification, but people didn't care what are the other things. They remained the same. All the research what our customers did remained exactly the same. But the value providing was, in our case, that you don't have to keep a mouse alive for 3 months to do an experiment or dispose of the dead body. It sounds like a small part, but for a customer who has to do tests on hundreds of thousands of animals, then it becomes logistically much more easier, even if the results would be shittier with our platform. Then I have a lot of these random thoughts sprinkled here and there. But the team, I have always built companies solo, except my good exit in AI. I had a co-founder, but this is something I would change today. So next year, I will change hats from investor to founder once again, and I'm thinking of starting a big company, just because at Y Combinator, I met an investor who is a really good friend of mine now. But for the past 1 year, we have been doing some investments together, and we have the same expectations of building a great company if we would do it together. But then only I thought that, okay, let's build another company. It's very big because when I see founders pitching that, yeah, we will compete with this company which raised $1 billion and I need $100,000, and I'm like a little bit suspicious. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference. How are you going to do it? The team is really critical. But there, of course, we want to have our friends and families. Don't do that. And the other thing is, team, don't try to look for a person just like you. I have had bad employees, great employees, but the difference between a good employee and a great employee might be 2 to 5 times. And a great employee or a great team member can do 5 times the amount of work of like a normal employee. But when I would look for a co-founder, then it's an exceptional team member. The exceptional team members, they could be 20 to 100 times better. There, I'm thinking it's not like, I don't mean that they are doing CTO, CSO, CEO, all the jobs, but exceptional co-founders or team members, they are more generalists. So I wouldn't pick, for example, if I'm building a space tech and I'm the CEO with investor background, financials, I wouldn't pick somebody who is great at machining these satellites out of CNC and say that, oh yeah, this guy or girl, they were building their own satellites at NASA, and that's why I'm picking it. I would rather pick a generalist who can find these people and still have a little bit of domain knowledge. So these generalists, instinctively, we try not to pick them, and often they're difficult to find. It's extremely difficult to find these exceptional team members. But try to think a little bit in that way if you got what I meant. And most of the time, I also see companies pitching to me and saying that they have these great mentors, advisors, and they're going to these 10 incubators at the same time. I'm thinking, okay, are these mentors working? How many hours do they spend? So I have maybe 26 or 27 portfolio companies. I don't mentor more than 4 of them. If I say that I'm mentoring in 20 companies and still touring the world, how much time am I giving? I'm not giving, I'm not sitting in your meetings every day, not even every week. Once every 3 months, you might see me. And it's the same with advisors and incubators. There are hundreds of incubators, good, bad, super shitty. If they're not on your cap table and they're not spending every day with you, I'm not interested. At YC, we don't look at these fancy metrics. Okay, a lot of blabbering, but then let's say in a very compressed timeline, how I got to my first million. This is a very, very simplified timeline. I had the latest idea in 2015 for the latest company. And I pitched this idea to AstraZeneca. And AstraZeneca was like, okay, if you can build it, we might buy it. I was like, okay, can you put it on paper that you might buy it if I build it? Oh, yeah, it doesn't cost us anything, so we will put it on paper. It's like, perfect. And I went to EU and I said that, hey, I need $500,000 to build this. They're like, who's going to buy it? I said, AstraZeneca. That was perfect. I spent the next 1 year building it, and I told the investors, hey, if you give me $500,000, you will give me $500,000. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And okay, there was a lot of luck involved. The one thing is that when you hear a person like me on stage saying that, yeah, I made X million, the difference between me and you is that I got lucky. Because many times I've heard people say that, no, it's because you have been working day and night. Everybody works. People who are doing food delivery, they work harder than maybe all of us who are sitting here. So that's something I want to say, that luck is a very big factor which people downplay quite often. You may or may not be able to make your luck. I never made my luck. I just met the right people and they just got impressed by what I said. And after taking that roughly €1 million into the company, I spent the first 2 years just playing around. But then AstraZeneca was like, hey, we saw that you took some money. Are you building that product for us? The product what I showed you to replace that small mouse with this chip, where AstraZeneca would then test their drugs and get some very bad results. But they were okay with that because for the first time, they could try something without using an animal. That's how I got my first pharma customer to pay. Now you see the story. I started by convincing AstraZeneca with an idea, and in the end, they bought that idea. And everybody who was involved, they were satisfied that I delivered what I promised. But this is also an anatomy, in my humble opinion, of a good financial round. I didn't promise that I'm going to change the regulation. I'm going to do Series A. I'm going to have 100 companies adopt the solution. Also for young founders who are pitching, when you ask for your first funding or your X funding round, I would like to hear, like many investors, with this money, where will you get to? What are you going to deliver in the next few months or 2 years with this money? You have very big plans. It's okay. We will look at them later. But what's going to happen immediately after taking this money? With these people happy, then I was able to convince more investors that, hey, there's this another guy who's ready to give $500,000 if you give me the $500,000. It's a lot of bullshitting back and forth, but people don't worry. Once you have proven that your idea works, then they're not worried about you as being able to execute it. But you have to remember that these investors are getting bombarded with thousands of ideas or thousands of pitch decks. They have to be convinced that you are the person who's going to make this happen, and you are the one who's going to do a return for their fund. 200% return is not a return what an investor expects. Do you know how much a typical VC would expect as a return? Roughly 100 to 200 times. Let's say I have a fund of 25 million. I'm putting €50,000 in you as the first ticket. at the exit from the shares which I have in your company, I should get my 25 million back at least. That's an insane return what I'm asking you. And this might sound like fundraising might sound, oh, people are raising fund left and right, they are raising funding. It's a trap. Because if I invest in you, I'm not letting you go till I get my money back, or you are dead. Not literally, but the company is dead. This is the VC trap. But once you get funding from reputed investors, then it becomes easy. Then you have reputation, people believe in what you do, and you start building a team which is believable. And then you have to continue selling. But at that time, I also had the privilege of, because I was working with these large pharma, I had made another tool, another AI tool, which in 4 months also got acquired. And my own investors wanted to invest in this company, but I said, no, it's fully bootstrapped and acquisition, and it adds to your not reputation, but what people can believe in. One bad thing is that it can also look as a distraction. What are you focusing on? To be honest, if this was a company which I invested in, I would be really worried. But luckily, I was not the investor. And for this journey, what I'm telling you, because it's a research-based company, the other big thing what I did with roughly 3 million by the time in 2020 is to show that the thing, when I'm saying it's novel, it has to be protected. It's not one patent filed somewhere. Today it's 13 patent families granted. So if somebody says that, yeah, we have found a cure for cancer, and I have one paper, and I will file a patent after the funding, that's not going to hold up in court. You need to have a couple of dozens of patents, which helps you make a wall of protection from other large companies or similar companies. But in this case, with very small equity fund, today, this company is getting acquired at the enterprise value of 20 million. It's a very small return, but once you give this kind of return, only then when I say to people, like, yeah, I took the company from 0 to 20, and now I want to build 20 to 100 million. Then it becomes a bit easy to believe in the founder. Okay, he has done the first, tens of millions. I can put a bet that this person is going to make the next 100 million. Not a billion, but maybe 100 is the limit. But this is also something which people or seasoned investors, they really look at what have you done before. This is also very important to understand that when you are pitching today, I just finished school, I'm going to build the next 100 million company. It becomes a bit difficult to believe you before you have shown that have you made the first 100,000 euros. Always try to remember that. And it's okay to take small steps. If it's your first company, it might be worth $1 billion in 5 years, but show how you're going to make the first 100,000 euros. For many people, if you can clarify that for many investors, then we can see the next steps building. But a very big reason is why. Why to do all of this? Why do people build companies? Solve problems. Sorry? Okay. But why would you want to build something? You're talking about communism, I mean. Yes. Sorry? Yeah, it's okay, I'll be very honest. So people build companies for many reasons, but I believe for 2 main reasons. One is for fame, and second is for money. And if you're building a company for any other reason, I think you're lying. So for me, I think it was really about money. I had just graduated, and I had started my first PhD. And I was also, because I was working in an animal lab, I was also the cleaner of the lab. And this is one day, I used to sleep in India. This is back in India when I was poor. I used to sleep in the lab, and one day the cleaner had arrived earlier than I usually wake up. And he took the picture and he shared to the whole institute, and I was like, fuck, I cannot come to this job tomorrow. I have to leave this country. And I applied for a scholarship, and I left India, and I never went back. And for me, it was truly the motivation of money and then freedom. And today, I'm at the stage where if I'm not flying every second day, it's because I'm sick. I've been, again, extremely lucky, and I don't regret any of those bad experiences from decades ago, but a lot of good learnings. Be brave, but also don't look at people who are successful as your role models. Just get inspired. But always remember, luck was always something that you cannot get. It just happens. But one thing what you can do is avoid mediocrity. This is something really, really inherent in us, that we seek a lot of pats on the back, or people like when they are clapping for you. So try to avoid that. And one way how I recognize that that's how to get out of this trap, especially in the research field, is that I've been a little bit bright student, and I always thought that, yes, I'm so smart. And this was also in my time in Germany and France. I'm not saying that there are not smart people there, but then when I went to ET at Zurich, then I realized that, okay, shit, I'm the dumbest guy there. And everybody was super smart, and they were criticizing all of my research, all of my companies. But that was the point where people were actually being critical. In all the other places, I was like, yeah, is everything okay? Should I improve something? No, that was amazing. What an amazing speech. And everybody's just clapping. Today, this doesn't mean anything for me. If people are just clapping, if I'm not getting rich or smarter, I don't care. So this is a bad way of saying it, but always try that. Try to find a group or a crowd which is much smarter than you. And it is okay to feel stupid as long as you're learning. If they are assholes, then leave that crowd. But if you're able to, if you're mentally, physically good, and you have the capacity, like I keep on building because I'm able to build. So I think if I don't do it, it's a waste of my capabilities. So I would really like to see what you're going to build next. And with this, I can take a few questions if you have.